Hey guys, we are back with another Sister Scoop, and we are going to get right into Marvel news this week because there's a lot going on in a lot of different spaces. The first being Venom 3, the trailer has dropped for the final installment of the Venom trilogy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It actually made me really excited. It kind of reminded me of the best parts of the first movie and exactly why I liked this character so much. I think it's gonna be great, and also that we're not kind of rehashing the second movie, which is I think what we were worried about. That one kind of was, or sorry, two was kind of a rehash of one, but it seems like we're kind of leveling up now and really getting into Venom's origins, which is super interesting based on the trailer. I will say though, as much as it makes me excited, it also made me annoyed because there's one person who stands out pretty prominently in this trailer, and
Yeah.
it's none other than Mordo himself, who apparently can't make another MCU appearance in 616, but can go ahead and be in Venom's universe.
Yeah, I will admit that definitely caught me pretty off guard as well. I think just to talk about my feelings of the trailer as a whole, I also was very excited seeing it didn't seem that Toxin was going to be the prime antagonist, which was very exciting because we were really concerned at the end of Let There Be Carnage that we were just going to be like, oh, great, now he's going to go fight Toxin. Cool. That's the end. So I'm glad they're going bigger. I'll be intrigued to see the ramifications of going bigger because it isn't just the symbiote. It's literally like Venom's home planet where the symbiote comes from. Things coming from there. So I will be really intrigued to see how this goes. It is Sony made. So my expectations are not going to go through the roof by any means. But I am excited about it. I think it's pretty high up there right now on the things I'm looking forward to. As far as what you said, yeah, I get it. I know there's only so many actors and actresses out there at a certain point, especially when the MCU keeps growing. It's hard. I understand. But when you do have them playing a pretty prominent role, not only that, they just reprised it in MOM that only came out, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Little rough, little rough. And I get it. Everybody's like, people can play multiple roles and it doesn't have to mean anything and whatever. I understand that. But when I'm still trying to figure out if Mordo's going to go around stealing everybody's magic or not from an end credit scene from 2016, I don't love seeing him be what looks like to be a prominent role in a new Venom movie. Is what
Yeah,
it is.
I couldn't have said that better myself. I was like, really? Really?
Yeah.
We're going to make this even more confusing now because they already mucked up a lot of this with some of their end credit shenanigans. And now we're going to cast someone who was in not one, but two Marvel movies, granted within the same franchise, but in, again, a prominent role. I mean, look, Chiwetel Ejiofor is an amazing actor. I don't blame you for casting him. He's like some of the best talent out there right now. Top tier. Cool. Love it. I love to see him get roles. Why this movie? Like, why
Yeah.
in a connected universe? You've made it so connected now
Well,
that you cannot deny it.
right. And also, and we don't need to get in this. Maybe this is a worthwhile podcast episode beforehand, but let's be real. It looks like they're also walking some of that end credit stuff back too. So I think
I
there's some
saw that.
concerns. I think there is a lot of people who aren't quite sure what that now means, especially considering Spider-Man, who the Spider-Man is in that universe, the Venom symbiote, all that crap doesn't look too good for us for what we thought was going to happen. That being said, we won't know. There's going to be about 9 million more trailers before this movie comes out and more rumors, more pieces of news. But first look, I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Definitely something to look forward to this fall. Probably going to come out at the same time as Agatha, which is always an interesting experience.
Of
but
course.
we're going to have a busy fall, and who doesn't want a busy fall?
Right, exactly. Moving on to our next topic, our next big news. We're going to continue this one from maybe last week, maybe the week before. Not really quite sure. I don't remember. But Giancarlo Esposito, who we were talking about, has said he's in an MCU role. We now know he's in Brave New World, which is intriguing to a lot of us, considering that movie seems to have a lot of people in it at this point, and it's also supposed to come out next year. But also, there's some pretty strong rumors on who he might be playing now.
Yeah, so right now the prevailing theory online is that he's going to play Raoul Bushman, who, if you're not familiar with the character, because I know we weren't, did a little digging, and he's actually the person who was mentioned in Moon Knight as being responsible for attacking Mark Spector and killing Layla's dad. So basically, is the reason that Mark Spector is Moon Knight. So that's a really interesting connection, especially for a franchise that is not, to our knowledge, really been that connected to the
Yeah.
larger MCU other than a few lines here or there or a Madripoor reference. This would be the first time that a character who's referenced in that show is really having a prominent role in any way in the wider MCU. So from that perspective, I'm super into it. But you definitely touched on one of my biggest concerns, which is something that I am a little nervous about for a couple of different upcoming movies, which is that we are packing so much in. Now, if he is going to be someone who's coming out of the Moon Knight franchise, he said he's going to be in a TV show later. I'm wondering if maybe it's a more minor role just to set him up for whatever he does and then set him up for, Moon Knight later on because we're actually going to get to see him versus just being a name drop. That's fine. But knowing we already have General Ross. We already have I forget his name, but the bad guy who was hinted at the end of the first Hulk movie, the leader, there we go. And we have him already in there, plus whatever political, intrigue is going to go on because this is a Captain America movie. You're not going to have no political intrigue. It is starting to get a little crowded. And I
Yeah.
just worry that in a few different movies, they're starting to Spider-Man 3 it a little bit and just throw everything at the wall. I think we just don't need to do that. And I am getting a little concerned on that front.
Yeah, I mean, I share pretty much all your thoughts. Just to clarify, Spider-Man 3 Toby, not Spider-Man 3 No Way Home. Just
Yes,
to
that
clarify, No
movie,
Way Home is
No Way Home is
untouchable.
perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
perfect. But yeah, I share almost all the same concerns. I also want to throw in, we don't really know if Sharon is playing a role. I
true.
can mention if she is, there's your connection there because
Yep.
of Madripoor. She's the power broker. So I could see that playing a role. I am unsure about how the whole Hulk family seems to be in the Captain America movie. I understand General Ross, but that's kind of a gray area. But yeah, it's intriguing. He is seemingly getting thrown into this rather late because they're doing reshoots. This isn't even actually filming at this point. This is reshoots. So I'm not sure what that means. This is also the movie that, if you guys remember, the first time they kind of tested it in front of audiences, it did very poorly. And so they went back for their first round of reshoots. I don't know if they've done, more audience testing since then, and this is another round of reshoots from that. I don't know, but I'm intrigued to see what this movie has to hold. As for his TV show, I assumed it was Moon Knight season 2 since that's
Yeah.
been running, as people have been saying. Actually, that's an update to a new segment that we did as well. It has been rumored that that's coming back for a second season. So I would assume that's where he's going to be in next, but we'll have to just see. And the last thing to touch on, our last topic, is that Shawn
Levy, I think.
Levy, is to possibly direct Avengers 5.
Yeah, so this is an interesting kind of roundabout story. So, if you are not familiar with Shawn Levy as a director, he's actually the guy who's doing Deadpool and Wolverine. So, from what I was reading, the studio's super, super happy with initial screenings of that movie. Yay, that makes me so happy, by the way. And they're so happy that they had actually offered Shawn the role in March. But because he's also working on Stranger Things and a few other projects, there were just too many conflicts. But because the studio has obviously made so many changes to the slate and release dates, it kind of freed up his schedules aligned a little bit better. So it sounds like they actually made the offer to him again. No word yet, at least as of when I was looking up, our researching for this episode, no word on whether he accepted it, but it does sound like they were so happy with Deadpool and Wolverine that they actually circled back. He doesn't have it yet. There are still other people in contention, but super exciting. And it also just makes me really pumped for like basically a little more than a month from now.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of rumors about Avengers 5 and who might direct. I think there's been a lot of big names tied to it as well. So it's a very prestigious role to get to direct that type of movie. And he's already kind of doing a mishmash. That's what Deadpool and Wolverine is. It's taking a completely, whatever version of Wolverine we're getting and putting him into this Deadpool universe, which is also now interacting with a Loki universe. So I'm so intrigued by that movie as a whole that I'm like, if you can direct that, you can direct Avengers 5. I don't doubt that for a second. So I am so for him doing it. It's just like the Russo brothers. If they can do it right, just keep bringing him back, right? So
Yeah,
actually, I'm
there's
pretty
no
sure
reason
they
to
were
fix.
in at some point rumored for Avengers 5.
I'm sure they were. I mean, look, they did Cap's best 2 movies. People will say how they felt about Endgame, whatever, but I would think we
Me
can all
included.
agree. Yeah, that's pretty much who I was saying when I said people. But, I think everybody can agree that duology there is so strong in terms of capping off the first 10 or
Oh
11 years
yeah.
of the MCU. And so when you have people who have proven themselves, there's no need to, go and reinvent the wheel. Just go ahead and go with someone who's already proven that they can do it.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, on that note, that has been this week's Sister Scoop. Make sure you guys are subscribing to our YouTube channel so you guys can come back every week and get more Marvel news as it's coming out with us. So, see you guys next week.